This video is brought to you by the official Flashy Instagram. Follow Flashy Magazine for all things music, pop culture, and fashion. There's no one in the 2010s who dominated the music industry more than Lady Gaga. The electro-pop era was at its height, and Gaga was at the forefront of the trend. Her first album, The Fame, came out and captured us with ear-candy dance songs, while her follow-up EP, The Fame Monster, gave us some of Gaga's most prolific and appreciated works. Yet, what made Gaga stand out even more than her carefree music was the persona she created through interviews and performances. She used her love of fashion, art, and technology as a way to distract the public from her personal life. There was so much to talk about professionally that no one really cared about Stefani Germanotta, and that's the way Gaga liked it. At some point though, Gaga became tired of analyzing and commenting on fame. She'd already achieved it and wanted to actually use her fame for something more meaningful. And that's where the idea for her second studio album, Born This Way, was conceived. An album full of weird pop production and off-kilter lyrics, this is strangely the least talked about Gaga album between pop music listeners. In this video, we're going to be discussing the making of Born This Way and understand why I would consider it to be an underrated album. Let's get into it. After releasing The Fame Monster as an independent EP, Gaga was at the height of her career. The Bad Romance single became an epic song that appeased people both commercially and critically. Gaga did exactly what she intended to do from the start of her career, created a fine art piece and made it commercial. Initially, she planned to go on a joint tour with the rapper Kanye West titled Fame Kills. But the tour got cancelled after Kanye interrupted Taylor Swift's acceptance speech at the 2009 VMAs. Gaga carried on with her own independent tour titled The Monster Ball, during which she became inspired by her fans and wanted to create an album that celebrated their liberation. Prior to ever releasing the record, Gaga had a tendency of hyping this album up and making extremely confident statements. During a Poland performance, she said, "I promise I will never let you down. And not for nothing, the album's finished and it's effing really good." She went on to say, "I promise to give you the greatest album of this decade, just for you." Throughout the year, she continued to tease the album, and at the 2010 VMA Awards, in a dress of raw meat, she announced the title and sang a snippet of the Born This Way single. It all seemed that it was going up for Gaga. The antics she was pulling had yet to become tiring, and people were still somewhat intrigued by her. Gaga officially released the title track on February 11, 2011. It's a big EDM pop song with a stadium feel that reminds me a lot of Michael Jackson or Whitney Houston. Lyrically, the song encourages people to celebrate and accept their differences, as it highlights different ethnicities, sexualities, and ways of life. She first performed the single at the Grammy Awards, where she arrived at the red carpet as a vessel, or as most people know it, an egg. The performance was a signifier for the theme of the whole album, rebirth. Gaga was setting up to be the leader for a race of people that live their lives without prejudice and hate. Looking back at the album from a 2020 perspective, I was shocked at how fresh and contemporary the production sounds. From the thumping beats on Marry the Night to Gaga's theatrical voice on Americano, she did a really good job at highlighting the extravagant element that everyone loves in Gaga's music. While I can see the beauty of this album from a 2020 perspective, there were a lot of fans and critics at the time who were disappointed and hated this record. Firstly, the heavy religious imagery caught a lot of people off guard and segregated some of her fan base. This is best seen on the second single titled Judas. Lyrically, the song speaks about Gaga going back to her ex-lover, even though he betrayed her, and she uses the story of Judas as a metaphor for betrayal and forgiveness. Though Gaga's intentions were not to make a religious statement, the people of the church condemned Gaga for the religious references. Critics also started to question the authenticity of Gaga. The Born This Way single was subject to a lot of heat for sounding too similar to Madonna's 1989 song Express Yourself. Madonna even commented on the similarities, calling Gaga's song reductive. Gaga did not take the criticism lightly though. You have to understand, Gaga's whole brand was on the idea that her art was authentic and unique. She planned her whole life and career to be this piece of performance art. So when people started criticizing and doubting the originality of her work, it personally hurt Gaga's ego, and she became very defensive. In an interview for NME, when asked about the Madonna Express Yourself comparison, she said, "No, listen to me. Why the F? I'm a songwriter. I've written loads of music. Why would I try to put out a song and think I'm getting one over on everybody? That's retarded. What a completely ridiculous thing to even question me about. I will look you in your eyes and tell you that I am not dumb enough or moronic enough to think that you are dumb enough or moronic enough not to see that I would have stolen a melody. If you put the songs next to each other side by side, the only similarities are the chord progressions. It's the same one that's been in disco music for the last 50 years. As you can see, critics started to really push Gaga to the edge when it came to defending her creativity. Unfortunately, Gaga fought back, and that only made critics want to push her further, as the media does. They attacked her for everything from her album cover to the prosthetic facial features that another artist claimed she plagiarized. They even attacked her for the promotional tactics her record label was using by selling her record for only 99 cents. Although this wasn't Gaga's fault directly, Billboard still had to change the rules to not count albums anymore that were sold for less than $3.49. It just seemed that the album was not living up to the standards Gaga set up for herself, and she was getting a lot of hate from the media that once praised and thought she was this great artist. In conclusion, the Born This Way album is not talked about enough. It has some really solid pop songs that cover a variety of topics, from acceptance to social issues to government corruption. I think if any other small pop artist produced an album like this, we would be praising it and calling it a classic. But because Gaga was one of the biggest artists in the world when she released this album, people became, in my opinion, overly critical over it. The surrounding controversy overshadowed the record and its message of unity, and slowly but surely brought Gaga's public perception down. This untouchable artist, who claimed she understood and mastered fame, was now tasting the opposite side of the media. And like with most people, she didn't handle it well. However, Gaga wouldn't see the true nastiness of the media until her next infamous album. We'll get into it on the next episode of Lady Gaga, the complete series. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as it really helps the channel grow. If you would like to support the channel, then consider becoming a patron. For a monthly contribution, you can get access to some cool perks, like watching my videos early or voting on video topics. Thank you guys again for watching the video, and I'll catch you guys with the next one real soon.